Madam Secretary, if I could raise an issue that I think is important to the non-proliferation community, and I think it's a logical step that we could take, that the IAEA would be in supportive of. They have this ability now with surveillance, what do they call it, near real-time surveillance of nuclear sites, and they have those cameras at many sites around the world, and that's one of the ways they do inspections. Right. And there would be, of course, the opportunity to do that here if we asked the UAE and tried to get their commitment to authorize the IAEA to employ those cameras. And so, you know, Iran has refused, of course, the IAEA requests to employ such systems. But given the fact that this is going to be a model for the region, in contrast to the Iranian behavior, I think it would be important to secure a commitment to authorize such surveillance as kind of a priority. And I don't think there would be a problem doing that, but I think, you know, since the UAE has agreed to the additional protocol, that needs to happen, and I would just ask you if you could sort of honcho and make sure that does happen, because other countries are going to follow suit here, and we want to make sure that's teed up. Could I have your
Congressman, you have my commitment to work with you on this issue. I don't believe that we can reopen the agreement and have new requirements in the agreement.
Well, no, I don't think there's a problem here, unless we're, unless we're just trying to make it easy for Iran to cheat. I think it's very, very important. There are a lot of other countries that are going to follow suit here. I don't think this is something that the UAE would have any problem with, nor anybody else. There is an agreed additional protocol. Unless we're trying to fool ourselves with respect to blinding the IAEI with respect to what they monitor in Iran, let's get this done. Because frankly, between you and me, I don't know that we're going to be all that successful with Iran at the end of the day, but I sure would like to get this right.
Congressman Royce, you have my commitment to work with you on this issue. The UAE has agreed to the additional protocol. So to the extent that everything that's on the table they have agreed to, we are there.
Yeah, you don't have to reopen anything. You can just do a side agreement on this. I think it's something that we didn't bring up and want you know, this issue to surface, but it's something that needs to be addressed.
If you will allow me to work with you on this, first of all, this is about the UAE, and Iran is a huge proliferation concern of ours, but this is about an agreement that the Bush administration negotiated a long time ago with the UAE. I am reluctant to agree right now that I'm going to support looking at surveillance as a piece of this, as a side agreement. I'm not even sure how that can be enforced. What I'm looking for are things that we could request and that are enforceable.
What I'm sharing with you is that this is something that the IAEA can do, that they've indicated they're in favor of, that the non-proliferation community would like to see, that any of us that have worked with this over a period of time who don't want to fool ourselves would really think would be important, given the fact that this is a model. And so I don't understand the reluctance. I think there should be enthusiasm to work in this regard, but in any event.
I'm enthusiastic to work with you, but the details of the UAE safeguards negotiated with the IAEA, not the United States, and we can weigh in if there is an issue. But these side agreements are, as you know, very rarely enforceable and worth what we think they might be. Not a lot. You have my commitment. Yeah. I am a fan of the opportunity to have as many safeguards as possible. I think the surveillance equipment and the monitoring that the IAEA has done and matured over the last 5 years is significant and worthy of our support. If you don't mind, I will provide for the record the answers to these issues, but right now the details of the UAE safeguards are what they negotiated with the IAEA, not with us. So I will
also, you
investigate
mentioned,
that.
just in closing here, you mentioned the UAE is cooperating with us on Iran. I'll just quote the Prime Minister. He said last month that Iran's nuclear program was peaceful and that Iran's program was an internal matter. That's probably not the cooperation you're referring to. I'm a realist in these things, and I think, you know, if you're going to set a precedent, let's do it right. And thank you very much, Madam Secretary.
The gentleman's time has expired. Ms. Watson.